Hey, what's up, fam? I thought I'd do a fun video today on the top 10 strongest people within the Black Clover world. I did a video a couple months ago on the top strongest people, like in order of the Black Bulls. Obviously, that was really early on my channel. Looking back at it, I think I literally just had a picture of all the Black Bulls and then MS painted drew numbers on them and what order I think they went. This one, I mean, I'm putting in a little bit more effort. And I want to put out there before I go into this is that with this list, it is going to be known, kind of like shown characters and where they place. Obviously, I'm not going to do characters like if I was going to go like overall, it would be like every character pretty much would be one of the Wizard Kings or like one of the Upper Elves, and there's a bunch of stuff we haven't seen, like maybe if we get Vito's soul back in, or the elf that took over Fauna with like a full elf body and not like a partial one, stuff like that. So I'm going to start this list out and kind of go into uh, probably the first one might be a little bit wonky, and then I think it'll flow a little bit easier along the way. So the first one I'd say number 10 right now is and the reason I think that is because with his by himself is pretty strong. He seems to be close to vice captain level, and then he's got Sylph by his side to boost him up. He's got his spirit dive, and now he's got his elf kind of boost on top of that. And with that, we've seen in comparison to when he and Asta both like teamed up. Asta, after shortly using his anti magic form, it kind of like broke off, and he had to wait, and that was his limit. He was able to kind of get up and push back and do it one more time and make it to 3 times a day instead of 2 times a day. Whereas as was already kind of in this already, he was staying within his spirit dive form, and we saw without the elf boost, he was already as strong as real with his boost, with the spirit dive boost, with his spirit storm. And obviously, that's not huge to the large scale of the captains, but being as powerful as the weakest captain while in his spirit dive form is pretty significant. And then the massive boost we've seen with a lot of the other elves seems pretty high up there. Now, this could easily change. Like I said, there's a bunch of different characters we haven't seen yet. There's a bunch of the captains we haven't seen kind of go out, and with someone like Nozzle, even though we know he's powerful, we don't know what makes him extremely powerful. It might be the poison attribute to his Mercury, the free control that seems to be in trouble with some of these elves and their abilities. And I wanted to put on here be over above stuff like Nozzle and some of the other captains, only because we've seen more of him, and the a little bit of his is also kind of hype. There's a little bit of hype, I think, following it, and it could easily get despotted. Like I think that once we get Ratry and some of the other like upper elves showing, and maybe some of the captains going all out within this arc, I think he could easily get pushed off. And I put him here knowing that could be the case, and I just thought it was a good way to kind of start with a more of an iffy spot rather than kind of getting into I'd say more concrete for sure spots. So number 9, I'd say Yami. Yami definitely pretty strong. I still think he's one of the strongest captains within the Clover Kingdom, and still even with the elves kind of rising up and showing how powerful they are, even though some of them, like we've seen, that have the ability to one-shot him, they aren't fast enough or they aren't combat skilled enough. And Yami, just kind of the combination of his abilities, like with his being able to set up his black hole and his dimension slash, is really something that I think puts him, even though he might not have as much magical quantity as some of these elves, maybe not have as much raw firepower as some of these guys, or a casual hack, something like the Mark's elf that was able to, I think it was Mark's, able to shoot like memory wiping arrows and whatnot, kind of like the crazy hacks, but just kind of the fact that he can move in with his high speed, high maneuverability, in his key sensing, combine it with using his black hole to absorb attacks, and then pretty much one shot most characters with a dimension slash and take him out. That's kind of like it's Yami's kind of setup and the way that he kind of handles himself in a fight that I think he definitely still sits at number 9 in this list. So moving on, number 8. Oh, I messed that up a little. Is Elf Charlotte. Elf Charlotte, though, even though we didn't get to see a lot with her, magic and a whole lot of what Elf Charlotte version is capable of. We did see that Yami did admit that she was more powerful than him, and that he, even with his dimension slash, he wasn't able to really put her down. It only kind of grazed her, but at the same time, she's definitely someone that is significantly strong in comparison to a lot of these other characters, and I look forward to seeing what the captain level elves are capable of, especially someone like her, where it looks like she's got a pretty crazy degree of how she handles her magic now. So that's going to be a much easier kind of set because of the fact that Yami didn't seem like, even with all his stuff, able to take her with the the increase of the elf boost on top of a captain's level of magical power and abilities. So, furthering on, number 7 with Fuego Leon. Fuego Leon, beforehand he was really strong. We didn't really know where exactly he kind of ranks with the captains. With the captains, it would always kind of seem like it was between like Yami and William pretty early on in the series, because we know Yami, just kind of like how what he showed us in his first battle when he fought Patri, and William, just the fact that he's the captain of the Golden Dawn. Though he was never called the strongest captain, he does lead the strongest order. He showed some pretty impressive stuff, like draining magic and critting his giant Yggdrasil tree on top of that village when the Diamond Kingdom was invading. But Fuego Leon, definitely I'd say, with the fact that he's got Salamander, he's got the highest attack power of the four great elemental spirits, like, stacked onto him already, even though it doesn't seem to be the degree of something like Third Eye Fauna. It was enough that he just completely trashed a vice captain tier elf, and that was pretty crazy of him. But he definitely is probably one of the highest firepower characters, I'd say, right now, but we don't know a lot about the kind of extent of where his magic, kind of goes towards right now. And it was a little bit iffy between 6 and 7 because of that, and I feel pretty confident when I show 6 of why I think 6 is there. Number 6, though, I will say, is Merrily Iona. And Merrily Iona, even though she didn't win against the elves, she was fighting one of the strongest elves, and then kind of stacked up with 4 other really good elves that kind of boosted their strength. And the fact that she lasted as long as she did against 5 elves, one of them being Raya of all people, really kind of showed her strength. And one of the reasons I would put her up here, even though I'd say that Fuego Leon has higher firepower than her. The fact that her fire can burn magic, and she could launch it from any direction with her mana zone. She was able to completely manhandle a third eye level person, even though it was pre elf boost. Still, when you get something like Yami, who is struggling with veto, and you get Merrily Iona up against Raya and completely making him look like a chump, is just crazy. And the fact when if she gets someone stuck in her Calidus Brachium combo attack, she's just going to be burning their magic from every single direction, keeping them from escaping, and burning away their stuff like their mana skin, and just completely incinerating everything about it. Merrily Iona definitely seems like one of the strongest characters, not only from like stuff like that, but from the fact that like Yami doesn't like to fuck with her when she kind of came into their base. Yami was just like, well, shit. Now what am I gonna do? I need to figure out, evacuate the base. And she also just kind of picked him up and was like, yeah, he's she's not gonna be able to, she's not gonna get him to leave without, uh, without thinking of a plan. And Marilyn just kind of does what she wants a lot of the time. That's one of the things I think about her that makes her super OP. Just kind of her presence, but also the fact that the combination of her fire burning or magic burning fire, and the extent of stuff like her maneuverability, and then the fact that if you get stuck in her combo attack, you're pretty much fucked, really. So Merrily Iona, like I said, pretty strong. I thought about putting. I'll say this. I thought about putting. I always forget how to pronounce it. Ashi, I think, who is Noelle's mom, because Merrily Iona talked about how she could never beat her. I think it's Alcy or Ashi or something. But just because she hasn't really shown anything, I decided not to put her on this list. Now, number 5, again, I gotta explain this one a little bit, just because it's one you kind of gotta take note of, and that is the Witch Queen. The Witch Queen, the fact that she's got her own little independent kind of group with the Witch's Forest between two hostile nations is pretty telling of how strong she is. She's not only that is the fact that when you get down to some of the stuff, when it you have like all the best people in the Clover Kingdom talking about how there's no way they're going to be able to heal Asta's arms, the curse on it that keeps the bones from healing, and that it's just too much for them. There's no magic in their world that could apparently do it, and that it's just way too much for them. And the fact that she was able just to kind of go, oh no, I got this, and then just instantly undo the curse, and not only undo the curse, but also fully heal Asta's arms entirely is pretty much crazy. And also that she was able just to kind of walk over and you know, put everyone up on these like crucifixes and just take control of Asta like it's nothing. She's even though she got defeated, I always kind of saw that as a she was more defeated by the fact that she was wrong about something, and that just kind of made her give up, and then she kind of like surrendered, not because she wasn't able to continue, because I think if she just kept going she probably would have killed everyone there. But definitely she's definitely up there. The Witch Queen is definitely like high up on the list. She seems pretty powerful. She also seems pretty knowledgeable. She's like seems to be centuries old and can contain a lot of crazy magic probably under her belt. So up into the last four now, we're more than halfway. Number four, I would definitely say is Raya. So when it comes to the third eyes, I wasn't too sure on some of them because we have like high durability, high kind of like combat skilled someone like Vito, and just like straight damage with pretty good healing and some good defense like a Fauna, or at least the elf controlling Fauna. With Raya, Raya prior to Elf was he was strong, but he was more of like a I can be clever and set stuff up kind of style, and switch between all his different abilities to make which one's useful and which one's best for the situation. Okay, he can heal himself. He can light speed away and turn invisible and turn intangible, so he can get a distance, heal himself up. Think of a new strategy. But once he got turned into with his elf body, he definitely seems like one of the most powerful people in the series. The fact that he can combine all of his powers into like sick combos and like turn invisible, move at light speed, heal himself, come back, also turn invisible, intangible, launch attacks, use myriad black crate portals around his opponent for light speed swords from every direction at people. He's crazy strong within the world right now, and if it wasn't for the fact that there's for sure characters above him, if all the characters 1 through 3 were around his level, just the fact that he has this, I would probably put him at the top. But obviously, the ones above him that I've put are for sure like stronger than him, so it makes it a little bit easier. Number three, obviously Patri. Patri is he was a stand-in for the for Licht. He was able to push the Wizard King Julius Novachrono to a degree. He has all this crazy light speed magic and this high level of magical quantity, and the amount of power he's able to kind of stock up and spread over. I think it's like a 60-mile wide range of the capital, and he would have just completely annihilated that entire like span of place that like the size of an island has just reduced it to nothing. It just goes to show like some of the upper elves, but it doesn't show the strongest elves because we don't know. We have no idea other than you know the elder of the elves with Licht of what the elves of their time were like. We haven't got anything like going back to say like, hey, it's the fourth strongest elf in the whole village. You know, we don't know. As far as we know, Patri is just a very devout follower, and as well as like Raya, Vito, and the elf that possessed Fauna. We have no idea yet whether or not they are highest ranked or what below Licht. All we know is that Licht is you know is the big guy. So obviously though, talking about what made Patri strong, it makes number two really obvious. I keep double clicking him. And number two, Julius Novachrono, the I believe 28th Wizard King. And Julius, the thing about him with not only is his power OP, he's a time mage. He can see into the future. He can reverse time on himself to heal his wounds. He can stop attacks by you know freezing them in time and throwing them back at accelerated speeds by increasing the time that they're traveling in, or I guess reducing the time that they're traveling in. He can accelerate himself to move faster than light. He can age people into dust. He's got all this crazy stuff, but the fact that when he was fighting Patri, when we saw how strong Patri was, Julius could have killed him at any time, but he was trying to save him because the side of that body that he's in is his friend William Vengeance, and that he wanted to try and save his buddy. And not only that is you could tell that when it came down to the big final moments of their fight, Julius still could have won. Is the fact that he sacrificed himself to secure the safety of the rest of the people within the capital within that moment, and then putting his faith on the rest of the Clover Kingdom and the Magic Knights to continue. He's definitely like in that spot. We don't know like some of the other Wizard Kings before him. Obviously, if it came down to like if I was gonna say one of that's for sure above him, probably the first Wizard King. But we don't know much about him. We don't even know how much of the lore behind the events that made him the first Wizard King is true, because obviously one of the things in Black Clover is a lot of their history within the Clover Kingdom seems to be fabricated to make the elves look out like bad guys. And then, kind of going off that, the number one known right now, the strongest character in Black Clover is Licht, the actual real Licht. Not only is he crazy strong that all the other elves seem to kind of look at him as this idolized person, this almost deity-like person. He's extremely strong. We see like when he kind of like first came out, like not even at full power, he was still like they referred to him in like a like half awake state, was able to completely move fast enough that Yuno with his high level of magic sensing and Asta with his key sensing, neither of them kind of even detected him move. He just walked over, picked up this. I think it's, oh my god, I'm forgetting the sword. All right, the Demon Dweller sword, I believe it. Yeah, the second one. I usually just kind of refer to them of what they do, and I always forget their names. But the second sword that Asta had, take it and just kind of cement himself as just absurdly powerful, completely manhandle anti-magic Asta, and then elf boosted spirit dive, like they're nothing. And not only is that he's extremely powerful as himself, but he's got anti-magic on his side, and I think that's one of the things that definitely kind of makes him the strongest known character right now. Because even though we know that the whole thing about Asta is that the anti-magic swords are OP, but they're only as good, their tools are only as good as the person who's using them. And now we have this, this strongest known character in the world so far, having the strongest known tools in the world. It just seems to make him right now a seemingly unstoppable threat. So there's obviously going to be things above them that could happen eventually. We could find out more about maybe somebody who potentially was fabricating and pulling the strings behind the betrayal with the humans and the elves. We could find out more about the creature that exists inside Asta's grimoire. We could find out more beings out there in the world, because we're only on one continent right now. Everything that we know is completely restricted to the Clover Kingdom's lore. We don't know anything about the other. We don't know anything about the Heart, the Spade, or the Diamond Kingdom. We don't even know anything about the continents off this. There could be more. Elves might not even be the biggest threat. There could be actual dragons, maybe minotaurs, and lots of crazy other things that exist in the world. Vampires, And then there's like the Land of the Sun. We don't know the extent of some of the things that could go on for, but we do know right now, kind of looking at the series of where the characters kind of take spot in terms of strength. So tell me in the comments what you think. Do you agree with me? Do you disagree with some of the list? Where would you put who and where? And yeah, if you like my other content, check out the rest of my videos. I do mostly manga stuff, Fairy Tail, Eden Zero, Black Clover, and hopefully, like I keep saying, Gambler Parade. I really like Gambler's Parade, and the anime stuff, Fairy Tail anime, Radiant, Goblin Slayer. I'm gonna add some more of that list soon. And if you're subscribed to the channel, thank you very much. If you aren't, I hope I can get you to subscribe. And if you like the video, like I said, check out my other stuff and maybe hit the thumbs up button on the video. Maybe like it. Otherwise, thank you very much for listening. Bye.